Palantir stock is getting absolutely obliterated today. What should you do with your shares? Am I selling my shares? After the stock went from around $21 to up over $25 in just over 6 trading days and then sold off almost 20% today, things are crazy in the Palantir universe. Alex Karp is wanting to murder every short seller in the universe. What should we do with our shares? Stick around. If you take a look at the screen, this is Palantir's chart as of right now. We're down to 21.35 after hours. And if you look at this weekly chart, they were up huge and then crashed down even bigger. It's been a crazy, wild ride for Palantir investors, but if you take a breath and actually look at the numbers, they're really, really good. They were expected to do $617 million in revenue, came in at $634 million. They were right in line around 8 cents of EPS, which is great. The government contracts are up 16% year over year to $335 million. The commercial is up 27% year over year to $299 million. And the fact that commercial is inching up towards the amount of revenue that the government contracts are doing is remarkable for the future of Palantir. And probably by the end of the year, I'm expecting for the first time in company history that commercial revenue will exceed government revenue by the end of 2024, possibly Q1 of 2025. Palantir is expecting revenue growth from 2023 to 2024 of 45% for the commercial side of their business. Those numbers are really, really good. So, Jay, if all these numbers are so good, why the hell is the stock crashing like Alex Karp just got murked by Putin? Okay, it comes up down to psychology, in my opinion. Take a look at the screen. Since the bottom in the last week on May 1st, around 9 a.m., 2166. And then it's been up and away, all the way to 25.22 right before they announced earnings, right? So this is important to understand. This is where the psychology of money really comes into play. Throughout the past week, there's been tons of hedge funds saying how great Palantir was, how good the numbers were going to be. Every time one of these articles comes out or one of these hedge fund leaders is like, I love Palantir, they're going to crush the earnings, everyone just starts buying and buying and buying. And then when retail starts buying, then all the algorithms start to get triggered. They start to buy. All this buying happens. And there's a ton of Palantir shares on the market, right? So it takes a lot of shares to be bought to move the price from 21.66 all the way up to 25.22 in 5 or 6 trading days. I honestly believe going into this earnings that there would be a huge sell-off. Because when there's a lot of positive sentiment running up into earnings, there's no news that could be possibly good enough to continue that momentum. So one little thing that people don't like, the sell-off starts and then it's just like everybody is jumping off the boat because they think it's sinking. But in actuality, there's no hole in the boat. Someone just started screaming because they got a little wet and now everyone jumped off the boat. So now there's this perfectly fine vessel with no passengers. And that's exactly where Palantir is right now. It works on the opposite side of that spectrum too. If there's a lot of bad news going into earnings, the stock is trending downwards, and then any little hint of positivity in an earnings report could send the stock going potentially higher. So you really have to understand what's happening in the lead up to earnings if you're going to play earnings. So if there's a huge run up, maybe like buying some puts isn't a bad idea, because unless the earnings are absolutely ridiculously amazing, then that momentum is going to stop and we're going to get some downside. It's not a coincidence that when this rally started at 21.66 before earnings and now is at 21.34, it's pretty much the same exact number. In those 5 days, there's a lot of positive sentiment. It ran up. We got the earnings report, which was really good in my opinion. It was just a good quarter. It wasn't a spectacular blow your pants off type of earnings report. So that's why we're seeing this regression. So it went up and went right back down to where it was trading at 5 or 6 days ago. There's a lot of positive things I got out of this earnings report, especially the net dollar retention going up from 108% to 110%. For these SaaS type of businesses, you want a lot of reoccurring revenue. But there is still risk with Palantir. When your top 20 clients make up almost 50% of all your revenue, there's some concentration worries for these type of businesses, right? If a small percentage of companies make up the bulk of your revenue, concentration risk is real. There were also some concerns from Morgan Stanley about their adjusted free cash flow of $149 million when the consensus was around $203 million. So just one little thing like this, a couple negative things, and a slew of positivity can send the stock down, crashing hard, and that's exactly what happened. So what am I doing with my shares of Palantir? I had about 1,000 shares of Palantir, and then I had some covered calls taken away, so I was about 700 shares of Palantir right now. I don't have a huge, enormous position in Palantir, but I just sold some puts at $23, so it looks like I'm going to have to buy those. I got around $150, so my break even is around $21.50. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. So I'm going to break even pretty much on this trade, get a couple more hundred shares of Palantir, be right around my 1,000 shares that I was initially at. So if this goes below $20, I'm thinking about this as a buying opportunity, right? Maybe I'll sell some more puts in that $19, $17, $18 range and take any premium I get and just buy more Palantir shares. If you believe in Alex Karp and their mission and you see the growth, I mean, you can't beat these numbers, man. Government grew 16% year over year, which isn't great, but they're getting $335 million from there. But the commercial part of this business growing 27% to $299 million is a huge deal. And Palantir said that they're expecting that growth to be over 40% for the 2023-2024 year. So the growth is there. And they're the best in the business. And if you watch some of the Karp interviews, they don't think they have any competition in this market. And to me, Palantir seems like a really sticky business. You don't really hear a lot about companies going into Palantir and then leaving Palantir for another company. It's very rare that we see companies leave Palantir. And I believe in Alex Karp. I think he's one of the smartest CEOs in the stock market right now. And I've always really believed in their mission. So if you look at Palantir year to date, they're still up 25% even with this big pullback. When in doubt, zoom out. Over the last year, they're up 108%. Crazy, crazy growth. The one thing that concerns me a little bit is, have we seen the peak of this AI boom, or are we just getting started? So whenever Palantir is running up huge, I'm definitely not buying shares. But on these sharp pullbacks, I think it's a good time to start acquiring shares. And when you see a giant price decrease in a stock that you love and you go over the numbers and they still look good to you, this is a great time to sell those cash secured puts in that $20, $19, $18 range, and you have to buy the stock, then you can just take the premiums that you get and buy any types of shares you want or buy more Palantir shares. So that's my move right now. I'm going to be selling some cash secured puts over the next few weeks and next few months in that $17, $18, $19 range for Palantir. I want to get my stake up back to around 1,000 shares, and with selling those puts, I could use that premium to buy those shares. Let me know in the comments below. Did you like Palantir's earnings? What are you doing with your shares? Are you buying, holding, selling? I would love to know and talk about Palantir in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again, guys. Peace.